Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 20th of November 2022. Just a couple of things to follow on from yesterday's video about the London shopping trip. A lot of people inquired about the £20 note thing I was talking about yesterday. I will try and get some screenshots of it onto this video today. If not, I'll put it on tomorrow's video because I'm recording this one in a slightly different way, so I'm not sure if I can do it with this particular way, but tomorrow I'll be back to my usual way of recording, so it might be on that one instead, but I'll show you the £20 note thing and go through it with you. But near the start of the shopping trip yesterday, I got talking to this lady who, her story really brought home to me the colossal amount of personal damage done to ordinary everyday people by the madness we've experienced over the last 3 years. I call it the great madness of 2020. I think it's going to go down in history as something like that when people look back on this period in 50 years, 100 years, 200 years time. They will call it the great madness of 2020 or something like that. And how apt would it be? But that doesn't detract from all of the personal damage that's been done. So many relationships out there have been put under strain and many totally destroyed, as is the case with this lady I was talking to. I'm not going to mention her by name, but I'm sure she knows who she is, and I was very touched by the story. Basically what happened is she thinks along the lines we do, but her husband didn't. He was totally mainstream, and it cost them their marriage, basically. The husband either, I don't know if he kicked her out or just left her or whatever, but anyway, the marriage is over. Probably up to that point a perfectly happy marriage that had been going along very well. Don't know how long the lady had been married for up to that point, but yeah, 1 minute it's going along nicely, I should think, and from what I gathered, and then the next minute, bang, it has gone. And it's not this lady, but another lady who left a comment on one of my videos, not recently, it was quite a long time ago, probably about 18 months ago, but it must have been one of the saddest posts I've seen under one of my videos. And this lady was saying how she'd been married for 20 years, and during most of that 20 years they were pretty much on the same page, her and her husband, this is, on the same page about everything, but now they're at totally the opposite ends of the spectrum and on something so important as well. So she seemed to be in a state of despair as well. I've heard of other stories where people have threatened to kick out their other halves if they didn't get a certain treatment. That would have been the end of the marriage had they not done that, and I'm sure many people have been pressured into getting it, although one person who I talked to said that they had to lie to their other half, say they had got the thing when in actual fact they hadn't. And yeah, there's just so many stories. That's at least 3 or 4 there that I've come across in my own personal experience, just talking to people either physically in their presence or online at least. And well, in fact it's more than that, because I know many other people have come out with similar stories, and that's before you even get on to children and parents, grandchildren and grandparents, sort of friends, cousins, people at work, etc. So I get comments so many times, so often, how people just can't talk to these people at all. Even now, in a lot of ways, things seem to be better, sort of better than they were a few months ago or this time last year. But the relationships have just been damaged that much. I've got to count myself as very lucky. Luckily, Lorraine, who you've seen on this channel quite a few times, is on the same page as me, and most of my other friends and family, although they're mostly with the mainstream narrative, kind of just, I suppose, just let me and Lorraine get on with it and don't really give us too much grief. There's only been a couple of people who have given us a bit of grief, but even those relationships were solid enough to not be permanently damaged, and things seem to be more or less on the sort of right track again, although with some people you still can't really mention the subject of the lurgy and the treatment, but still things seem to be more or less back on track, even with the most vociferous people who sort of were against what me and Lorraine are all about. So we are very, very lucky, but there is many people out there who aren't, including this lady I was talking about, who I talked to yesterday. And I've mentioned this before, January is going to be victim month of a certain treatment, and there's going to be events happening in London and other cities around the country, probably around the world. I don't know yet 100%, but January is going to be a remembrance month. But I think the victims don't just include those from the treatment, those from the lurgy or whatever. It also includes all of the lockdown damage, all of these draconian things that have happened, have just damaged people so much. They've damaged the lives of children, perhaps for most of their remaining lives, many decades to come. They're never going to get over it, a lot of them. So they're victims. The psychological trauma that's happened, the damage to people's relationships, which is the main thrust of today's talk. Just so much damage has been done. There's so many victims out there in so many ways, and I think in this Remembrance Month of January coming up, we need to remember all of them, not just a select group, although they'll be the main focus, but we need to remember absolutely all the people who have been affected by this, people who have lost their jobs, sort of had their pensions dramatically impacted. There's plenty of people out there who are going to have much more impoverished sort of elderly years, retirement years, because of all this. And that's before you even get onto the whole cost of living crisis. I'm just coming at it from sort of a pensions point of view there, but that plus the cost of living crisis is just going to see so many retirees having a far less comfortable retirement than what they were planning for and worked so many long hard years for. So just so many victims in so many different ways, and I think we need to remember them, and we need to double down on our efforts to bring the perpetrators of all of this nonsense to justice, to make sure they one day hopefully are standing in the dock of a court or whatever type of court it's going to be, and face justice and are made to account for themselves. So I will be talking more about this Victim Month in January as we get closer to the time, and as I learn more about it myself and what's exactly is going to be happening. But I'm sure there'll be various shopping trips, as I call them, to deal with it, and maybe some other things as well. So I'll keep you informed on that as and when I hear of it. And like I say, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this £20 note thing on today's video, but I will get it on tomorrow's video. So I'll leave it there, and I will be back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.